Yo, what's up, guys? Insane Game Freak here. Here to bring you Astarotte Toy episode 5, and I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. Out of the 5 episodes we have seen of this show, this is my favorite. Period. My favorite. Um, Once again, it's a episode. Man, this was okay. I'll put it this way. This episode did exactly what I wanted it to do in its entirety. Everything. I didn't have any like ridiculous gripe about this episode, honestly. Um, the only thing, because I didn't have to see Lotte in that gown for like 6 or 7 scenes. So I was happy about that. The eye catcher was toned down compared to the last one, even though it's still kind of weird, but it works. It's not that bad considering when you know the parental status. So yeah, and the cross-dressing scene wasn't handled as badly as I thought it would be, which I was really happy about that too. Knowing that the show is doing a lot of filler compared to what the manga does. But, I mean, the basis overview of the episode is that it is confirmed and it is explained in detail what Nalia and the Queen Mercelda's marital status is. The Queen had 2 daughters. She had Asaha by Nalia and had Lotte by some other dude that doesn't even get addressed, period. I'm not 100% sure why. I believe Lotte said he was dead, but I could have forgotten. But personally, I really don't care because I like the way they focus on these 3. So by that logic, I don't know what kind of person what kind of people you guys think it is, but me and my sister have different fathers. We have the same mother, we have different fathers. To me and her, we are a whole brother and sister. In the anime, technically, so when I look at these 2 in the anime, I'm thinking they're both brother. I mean, they're both full-fledged sister and sister. But some people may think of it, oh, if they don't share the same parents, they're only half, no matter which parent it is. So they're half brother and half sister and shit. So technically, in the anime, they say they're half sisters, but I call them full-fledged sisters pretty much, and they're the same age. The only thing I didn't like about this episode, it doesn't explain why they're the same age. Considering it's weird, it doesn't make sense that they're born from the same mother and the same age. Well, the thing they don't explain, which is probably the only gripe I have, is in the manga they explain that a succubus's pregnancy or birth cycle is shorter, so it's possible to have 2 kids in the same year. That's why they're the same age. But in the anime they don't explain that, and most people don't really give a fuck anyway. But what this episode proceeds to do is it proceeds to do the development for Nalia and Asaha and Lotte near the end of it. Because the beginning of the episode really takes place where the last one left off when they're still in the room talking to each other. And Nalia does what the typical father figure in that situation would do. He kind of freaks out. Well, not really freaks out, but it's the angriest you ever really see him so far in the series. Because he's like, it's you. It's like, I have so many things I wanted to tell you. How the hell could you do that to me when we were younger? When I first met you, and you did those things to me, and then you disappeared. And then on top of that, you come back 3 years later with a child, with a young girl, and says that she's my daughter, and then leave me again. How could you? And you gotta remember the Queen's response to this so far is that she's just happy to see him. Like if you go when you watch the beginning of the episode, it's literally she's just happy to see him. So it's like she gets really mad and flies off. And also there's a joke with her. This is where I feel like the romance comes in because it's obvious the Queen likes Nalia still. For one, she calls him honey. Like she doesn't even call him by his name. She calls him honey. Period. Also, you'll see later in the episode when she's requesting a suitor for the night. She requested someone that looks exactly like Nalia. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. She is falling for that dude. But the fact that she's a queen and a succubus, I'm assuming is what's fucking with her. But she really still likes him. There's portions of that show where she's like, I miss him. And then you see Ozha go into like a little daughter mode and like just really hyped about seeing her mom and shit. And it's actually a really sweet scene. And I feel like her Japanese voice actress sounds awesome to me and cute as shit. I don't know why. She just became like the cutest fucker on the planet on this episode. I don't know why. But after that, what proceeds to happen, and you're probably wondering what the cross-dressing thing I mentioned earlier is. What the cross-dressing thing is that after this is explained to Judith and Effie and Zelda, they need a plan to get them both in there so he can talk to the mother of his child, because there's one other thing he wanted to tell her. And obviously also how I want to see her again. And also just a note, they apparently now he went through the trouble of explaining everything to Asuka about them being half sisters and about her mother and harems and shit, but she didn't explain. And the reason why I say that is because she's not, because of two scenes in this episode. So this might be a long review for anyone who does want to watch. I'm already 5 minutes in, so I might as well tell you that right now. Um, but which is weird because I didn't expect that to happen. And apparently he told her not to tell Lotte, because you'll see when we get to the scenes. But pretty much after that, as I said, they need to come back. They need to get them into the Queen's castle, and the only way that's gonna happen is through some sneaky shit. This is where the cross dressing comes in, because they had the cross dress as maids to sneak in around the suitors lounge, where all her harem is located. And you couldn't be a boy because she would find his ass out before they got the chance to talk, and so they had to cross dress as girls. Um, it's not a bad scene. They handle it pretty well. The fucked up part about that scene is probably after they get out of there and after he pretends to be a girl for a few minutes, he's still sticking around in the outfit to not to be found out. And while I guess I forget what the girl who's in charge of picking the suitors for the knights runs across Asaha and Naya looking through the doors trying to figure out where the fuck the queen is located at, and stares at Naya for a second and then proceeds to grope him and finds out he's a man and that he fits exactly the specifications that uh, Mercelda wanted for her suitor that night, which would make sense because she was missing Naya, so she wanted someone to look almost exactly like Naya, and what she got was exactly Naya. Which you're probably thinking leads to another scene, but the next scene it leads to is actually them meeting that night. It's actually a very emotional scene that takes place. Pretty much the thing he wanted to tell her was thank you. Thank you for giving me a daughter, giving me it's actually a very typical fatherly response, and I was glad they made it realistic, because most fathers who love their daughters couldn't hate the mother full outright. He may have been pissed about the rape and the disappearance and shit like that, but the one thing he was not mad about was the fact that he got an awesome little girl out of the whole situation. And that's really what he conveys to her that night, which makes her bust out in tears. Well, no, then Asaha says almost the same thing on the exact same lines, but in the version of a 10-year-old, and she just busts out crying. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, you have Lotte still missing her mom because the shit that happened last episode never got addressed because of the whole thing with Naya and Asa. So Lotte's still missing her mom while the anime decides to explain some things that the manga didn't decide to explain. Why there was a 3-year gap in between. Why 3 years after she raped him, she presented him with his daughter. Why? Apparently in the anime they explained that when they first met, she was talking about how she and her sisters were fighting for the throne and people were dying because of that. So she was very depressed and shit. And I guess what happened was Nadia was comforting her and she got way too comfortable, and that's what led into the rape. Well, that's what I'm calling it, rape, but that's supposedly what happened. Then after that, the reason why she brought Asaha back to him was because she didn't want Asaha to be involved into the whole princess fighting each other, and then that little mini war starting, so that keeps coming over through generations. And I'm assuming at the exact same time is when Lotte moved to the different palace, because of the whole she witnesses her mother having sex, and that scars a child. um. And that's really how that's explained, which I thought was a decent explanation. As long, I mean, for what the show is, it's a good explanation, and I was fine with it personally. So after that, you pretty much have they kind of devote the rest of the episode to like Lotte and her mom's. Like, it's kind of weird, and this is how I know that he didn't tell. He told her everything because the first thing Asa says when she walks into her mother's harem is like, "Oh, this is my mother's harem." When you remember in previous episodes, she didn't even know what the fucking harem was. So I thought that was hilarious. The second scene would be here, where they're all in school and Lotte's still depressed, and all of a sudden her mom comes there in her teacher's outfits and explains that today is an extra visitation day because not everyone could have made that party that happened last weekend. And when this happens, he she knows that's Lotte's mother because she's like, "Wow, that's Lotte's mother." But she doesn't go mama like she had been doing the entirety of the episode up until that point, which makes me feel that she knows the whole situation. If she doesn't, then that kind of makes those scenes plot holes to me. But that's just me. Apparently, this is a scene that also works very well for the school because it seems like it wasn't, and it made it realistic. It wasn't just like, oh, Lotte's mom was the only mom that couldn't make it. No, they made it like a big thing. Like there were a lot of people's parents that couldn't show up, and it made Lotte feel good that her mom was there and good things were happening. It was just kind of a cool scene. And then the last scene would be them riding home in the carriage together, and them having like these couple mother daughter moments. Like they sync up on like a certain action. She was freaking out about what to wear. It was kind of cute to watch her mom do that. Lotte notices that she still has that stuffed animal that she has, and says she wanted to give it back to her, and she's like, "Nah, you keep it because maybe that means I can sleep with you sometime the next time we spend the night, next time I come over to your house." This seems kind of weird in retrospect, but they're mother and daughter, so it kind of works. And she's like 10; it's not a big deal. Um, I believe that's the majority of the episodes. It kind of finally focuses on Lotte and her mom, and then focuses on her and Asa and her mom, and Nalia and her his. I'm betting those two are gonna get together. And if anyone thought Nalia was gonna rape, anyone think it's gonna be some pedophilia shit, I kind of doubt it now, considering you have the fact that he got with her mom, mind you. I mean that's still weird in itself, but at least her mom is of legal age and they've already had sex once, so it's not a big deal. And besides that, you can obviously tell that his mom, that Lotte's and Azahal's mom, has a crush on Nalia anyway, because she can't stop calling him honey. She never calls him by his full name in the entirety of the episode. And I think that's the whole thing with the manga too. They never call him by their episode. They never call. She never calls him by his name. So that's gonna be a shtick. So as far as the pedophilia shit, I'm doubting it. Like I hardcore doubt it now. I feel like he's just meant to be like her father figure in some level, which kind of correlates in retrospect. Is that's the only thing she's missing? Because unless they explain her dad thing, I think they go into some explanation, but not enough. I'm not 100% sure because it's been a minute. But yeah, this is probably my favorite episode. I just like the way the entire episode flowed and shit. The preview for the next episode is what's freaking me out a little bit because they've already in the manga. The manga only has 17 chapters from what I read. And they covered most of my favorite things in the first 5 episodes. So, by that logic, I know next episode we get introduced to a new character, and that particular character I don't remember that much from her, but I remember she's one of those characters who's older than what she appears to be, and also something relating to Nalia, and it's not really a plot point, but this is where I'm afraid, this is like the next episode will kind of mark the beginning of the end type of shit, where either this is like the high point would be this episode, and it's just going to drop from here, or it'll just keep getting good. I'm not 100% sure. Because my favorite scenes, all my favorite shit, went in episode 5, so we'll just have to see. But, she wants her life seed. You can't really do that as an ending. That's the problem. But yeah, tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Thoughts. It seems like a lot of people have been asking. I got like a response from last week's review. People are asking if this is a good show. Personally, the fan service drops like a motherfucker. It might kick back up next episode, and that's what I'm a little afraid of. But for right now, I'm enjoying the series. It's good. Tell me what you guys thought. Comments, discussion, responses are all welcome here. She wants her life seed. She wants his life seed. And life's a game. Play to win. I will catch you guys later. And peace out. Peace out.